premiere episode of the Sly Tiger Gaming podcast. I am your host Todd, and I would like to personally introduce you to the show. So you're probably wondering, what is Sly Tiger Gaming? Well, it is a fortnightly podcast covering gaming news, opinions, and beyond. You can download the podcast on iTunes and also at f5.net.nz. So for the first episode, we'll be covering the latest gaming rumors, our highlights from E3 2014, and the current state of Nintendo. Can they turn the Wii U's fortunes around? And I suppose at this point would be a good time to introduce my panel for today. From Punk Pyro Shadow, I have got Amy. Punk Pyro Shadow is a digital media design and special effects makeup company. Welcome, Amy.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. I have Pete from Aspect of Gaming NZ.
Howdy.
And I also have Christian from f5.net.
Hey there.
Cool. So, welcome everyone. Before we get into what we're going to be talking about today, do you want to just start off by what you've been playing lately? Amy, do you want to start?
Okay, I've just finished Murdered Soul Suspect on Xbox One recently. It's okay. Has a lot of potential, but yeah, bit buggy.
I forgot you had an Xbox One, and now my opinion of you has changed.
Yeah. It's okay.
Someone's got to buy them, otherwise Microsoft goes broke, alright?
And that's the last time we ask Amy anything. Pete, what have you been playing lately?
Well, mainly because of the Steam sale, I've been playing like Skyrim. I picked up pretty cheap, and Rayman Legends, something I've had on my to-play list for ages, but never got around to it. So I've been playing both of those.
Had you ever played Skyrim before, or is this the first time?
I'd played Oblivion back when that came out originally, so I didn't get much schoolwork done back when I was at high school playing that. So I was mad addicted to Oblivion, and so hesitant to go back in there like a crack fiend into a den, but I decided to do it, and I'm actually enjoying it so far.
Awesome, but never played 5?
Nah, never played 5 before.
Wow, oh, that's a bit of a shock to you, I guess, because, yeah, 5 is a pretty massive game.
Yeah.
Have you found the trolls yet?
Nah, I'm pretty early into it. I've only stayed like my second dragon, and I'm still finding my way around. But nah, it's good.
When you find the trolls and they attack you, yeah, that's probably a pretty decent experience. And Christian, what have you been up to lately?
Mainly just been starting off the Witcher series, because I know the Witcher 3 is coming out, and I quite like the look of it, and I've always liked the look of Witcher 2. So Steam sale, I bought them all. I'm just charging through them.
Awesome. Whoever is clicking, stop clicking. There's clicking and typing going on. For me, I have been playing Final Fantasy X HD on the Vita. I picked it up on the PlayStation 3 when it came out earlier this year, but I kind of just stopped playing it for a bit. Other things came out. But I picked it up for the Vita, and it's renewed my interest again. I actually kind of prefer it on the Vita. It's a little bit kinder to the dated graphics than the PlayStation 3 was. So, but yeah, no, it's a really good game. Right, moving into rumors. So for the rumors section, we'll be just having a brief chat about the latest rumors in gaming, beginning with The Witcher 3. So The Witcher 3 has had a bit of a leak, so to speak. The amount of data that's come out of them is pretty big, so we'll be avoiding all spoilers regarding the story, but there's been mention of, there's a whole bunch of character models that have leaked, including 34 primary NPCs and 61 secondary NPCs, and also concept art. There's a map of the game that's leaked, including points of interest all over the map. So it's something that if you're looking forward to the game and you don't want any type of spoilers, avoid looking this stuff up, obviously. You don't want to stumble into it. And probably they've also mentioned how they're going to support the consoles. So the Xbox One version, I guess, Amy, you'll be interested in this. They'll be supporting Kinect voice commands and also Smart Glass.
Oh, wow.
It also mentioned something named commentary mode when using Smart Glass. So I'm not sure whether it's like director's cuts, like in DVDs and things, or like in some games where you can activate that mode and, going somewhere or doing something lets you see and hear the director saying this is why we did this or whatever.
Yeah.
And for the PlayStation 4 version, it might include the use of the DualShock 4 Lite controller. Lite.
Bar that's yet to be categorized in any game yet. Just sitting there
it's
glowing for no reason.
It's in
Infamous.
Well, maybe. What is that? The arrow shooting one. Tower Forge.
Oh, yeah.
Tower Fall. Something.
Maybe. I haven't played that.
Yeah.
Infamous doesn't use it. Infamous just uses the
Movement.
geo sensor inside the controller.
Yeah, no, so they're just talking about the light bar on the back.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and so that was used in Tower Fall. And like depending on what character you chose, that made the light show up on the back of the thing. So it's kind of like, play 1, play 2, play 3, play 4, but it was done pretty cool. Probably the biggest thing that we can talk about is the fact that according to this leak, The Witcher 3 won't be the end of the saga. There are documents referencing the planning of The Witcher 4, and it fully details the choices that will carry over into the next game of the series. So, pretty interesting to know that this isn't at the end of the series. I mean, I don't think too many people thought that The Witcher would end at 3, but I probably would have assumed that maybe after 3 they might want to look at a new story, new character, new setting, that sort of thing. But no, it looks like it'll be carrying on. So, yeah, thoughts and opinions on The Witcher 3. Is anyone looking forward to The Witcher 3?
I am. And I guess that the leak is maybe a good... Well, if they play their cards right, it could be a good advantage to see what the reactions are to some things. They could use it as a little bit of feedback. I know they're probably doing a lot of damage control right now, but if someone was paying attention over there, they can listen to what people maybe do and don't like.
Yes.
Bit of a tough call, though, to halfway through development reshape a game. But, I
Depends how
understand what you're saying.
It could be like minor things like adding a few more NPCs that are, just like more different things. There's
small tweaks can be made and adapted. Yeah.
I guess it depends on how much ends up leaking. If everything, including the kitchen sink, leaked, then they might end up delaying the game and going back and redoing some things because, like especially with story-based stuff, they want to try and keep that on lock. So I guess just remember that it is a work in progress and things may change. So
hopefully not too much for the people that actually play the game. Plot is divulged because it's a story-based game, I presume and understand.
Yes, definitely.
The thing that blows my mind is when you said there's only 34 primary NPCs and 64 secondary NPCs. These games are quite big, and it sort of blows my mind to think that there's just under 100 actual characters in the game.
That was just what they found on the leak.
Right, I was
there could be more.
I mean, I just thought they might duplicate them, but when you play a big game, you actually don't count all the characters, but if someone said, there's only under 100, you're like, oh?
I guess, think about Grand Theft Auto and stuff, how there's a lot of variations of the same character model. So, clothing and facial details, that sort of stuff can be changed.
Businessman in red suit, businessman in blue suit, businessman, yeah.
Okay, moving on to the other rumor currently doing the rounds. So, the other big rumor is that the Legend of Zelda on Wii U may include some sort of multiplayer component. So, the director and producer of several installments in the Legend of Zelda series, speaking with Game Informer, talked about the multiplayer in the upcoming Dynasty Warriors Zelda game, Hyrule Warriors. And they mentioned the two-player functionality of Hyrule Warriors is actually something that has traditionally been done with Dynasty Warriors series, but they've changed that because of the hardware and the second screen on your gamepad. Instead of having a split screen on the television, you have one player playing the television and one on the gamepad. And then he went into tease more that when he was talking back about making Zelda more than just a single player... Oh, sorry, I'll restart that. So he then teased more saying, quote, "When I was talking back about making Zelda more than just a single player experience, that was something that you'll see in the future, maybe next year." And of course, the next Legend of Zelda game, the big Wii U one, is tentatively titled for next year for release. But again, that all depends on how development goes and stuff. Do we all see The Legend of Zelda at E3?
Yep.
And what were our initial thoughts of that?
It's a pretty render.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited to get back into the world of Zelda. It should be good. See what Link's up to.
So I mean, we've all played a Legend of Zelda game before, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Never finished one, but I've started about different kinds.
I'm the same as Amy. I've
Yeah,
started.
Terrible.
that's me too.
I've played
I've tried.
maybe 4 from start to finish. 4 of them.
I can't
It's
remember.
just not
I
my
think I had
thing.
the original on my phone at some point.
I wonder what context they'll play multiplayer. Will it be another hero, or will it be like, I don't know, Link's Fairy performing small tasks for you? I wonder what.
Probably. I can't imagine them adding a whole second character. You probably end up something with, here's a companion character. Theory.
You get to play the horse.
Yeah, like it. Oh, maybe. Yeah.
You could troll. Think about that for a sec. You could troll so bad. Imagine doing online co-op where sort of like something to Journey where you don't really know who you're playing with.
Oh.
You're the horse, and this person's trying to quest. You could troll them so bad. Horse could just decide, you know what? Actually, screw you. I'm not going to let you ride me. Or actually, I will let you ride me, and we're going to ride into this volcano.
The thing is, he was talking about multiplayer as in one person using the gamepad and the other one on the TV, so I don't think they're quite looking into online play yet.
No.
That was for Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, but he says when I was talking about making Zelda more than a single player experience in context of that, I just think they're thinking more 2 players in the same room rather than across the net.
Oh, definitely.
That's what makes me think a companion role.
More towards little children that would be over at each other's houses.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And plus, they don't have functionality of 2 gamepads yet, the tablet. So it would be something that you'd have to be simple enough that you could just use the Wiimote. Yeah. So just a couple of buttons and directional buttons, just so you can run around. So I'd say probably your companion character.
Todd and I played Knack. My secondary role was to literally just be another mini Knack that had no consequences and I could do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And I can kind of see it going that way, because to try to keep the game at a low age point.
Yeah, I could see him doing something like that. I don't know. I'm not sure why you guys presume that Link games are primarily young. I mean, yes, the art style is childish, I suppose, but the content is by no means a childish content or gameplay. Some of the mechanics are quite difficult in a number of the games. Especially the original Game Boy games.
I do see it as having
against a brick wall for hours trying to figure out puzzles.
Well, that's what the internet's invented for. I do see it as having a wide demographic, that's all.
Yeah. I'd say they're not going to aim for, like, our age, and they're not going to aim for little children. They're just going to try and get as many different people being able to play it as possible, I'd say.
But you're not going to have the...
we tend to try and do most of the time. Other than that one game when they first came out with the lightsaber,
I suppose for them it's a similar case to Mario. He's a figurehead of their entire corporation. You've got to make the game across as many genres and demographics, as possible.
I think they want to try and avoid the, like for when I say, like, child's game, I don't think mechanically it's a child's game, but the themes and the art style, that sort of stuff, that's very family friendly. Like, you don't have blood or anything like that in those games.
Bodies just vaporize. And
it's cross it. I mean, I think they maybe have M ratings or something that it's there's clearly violence in the game, but it's not you're not like Grand Theft Auto where you can gun someone down, there's blood everywhere, run them over. You can't do that sort of thing. It's kind of like how like with Mario games, the themes are very, very vague, family friendly. I think the darkest story they ever got into would be the Majora's Mask one. Because that had some pretty dark stuff. I mean, you had to kind of fossil around to find it, but it had things like, everybody kind of accepting suicide and that sort of stuff. Like,
the town's whole mood going down across the course of the game.
Yeah. So that
sort of stuff that children don't pick up on, even if they find it, because you get a lot of that kind of in the more multi-demographic games. That there is adult humor, but it's stuff that children won't entirely pick up.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting because I know they've got a couple of things at their disposal, because Nintendo doesn't make new things from scratch. They're not likely to create a new character. So there could be, if it's like 2-player against each other, it could just be Link and Shadow Link. Or I know there was that game ages ago where it had 4 Links of different colors.
Four swords.
Yeah. So
So
like
each opponent had a different color part, and so you had to make sure that you're taking care of your right objective and bloody
so
blah.
I can see them sort of reusing one of those two previously used tools.
But even in Four Swords,
Zelda.
you could just do a solo.
Yeah, I think that's the thing to remember is that the game will primarily be played solo, so any co-op stuff would have to be like something
Achievable
that could
single player.
either in the game or out of the game, and that's where I think probably companion character that may or may not be there.
That's just it, like it could be like because it's Link's adventure, but they could use Zelda.
They won't use Zelda.
I don't think she's been a playable character in anything other than like a
Warriors
Smash Bro.
is her debut for being a playable character in the Legend of Zelda series. Anyway, moving on to E3. So E3 happened earlier this month, and we all watched it, either live or checking the various videos and things uploaded afterwards. Starting with Christian, what was your favorite game from E3 this year?
It would have to be, and I keep bloody forgetting the name. It's the it is.
What's it about?
Obviously, a big favorite of yours.
I know. It's that adventure game where you go between planets and it's all
No Man's
procedural
Sky.
based. No Man's Sky. Oh, I just love. I mean, ever since I saw, because there's a couple of games on Steam. They're very indie. Well, this one's indie too, but they're very like sort of simplistic in the graphics, more going for that 8-bit style of where it was you just randomly show up in the game and everything's procedurally generated. So you just go to this place to this place, and I quite like the concept of that. But
you're talking about sort of like Junie-esque type games.
Yeah. So what you do is you spawn someplace, and then you go down to a planet, and the planet is very randomized.
Yeah.
And in the one particular game I'm thinking about that is on Steam and Vita, it's a combination of exploration and Minecraft. So you go down to the planet, there's randomized dungeons, there's randomized
dungeons.
I just thought it was just
environments.
No, it's environment. There's no dungeons or any. As far as we're aware, there's no combat other than they showed off.
But this is the other game I'm talking about, the one that like got me stuck.
Oh right, sorry, I thought we were talking about No Man's Sky.
Because the one that's on Steam and Vita is like it. It's like a Minecraft-esque. So you'll just go to random planets. You try and just survive there, and when you get sick of it, or you run out of it, or it's too hard, or the environment's depleted, you get in your ship and you fly away to another randomly generated planet, and I really like that, and that's what this No Man's Sky is trying to do.
I can't remember where I saw it, but they said that the goal is that no person will have the same beginning opening of the game ever. Like it'll be so randomized that somebody will spawn on a planet full of rocks with no ship, and it'll take them 2 hours of gameplay to get off the planet. And like it'll be everyone's experience will be completely individual. Which
that sounds awful to me. That sounds like such a whole 2 hours just to leave the planet when everyone else is off exploring these great planets. That would piss me off so much.
But I like that sort of thing, which is like
you just regenerate again and again, and
you restart.
I mean, it did well for that FTL game. That was a big hit. Everything's just randomized every time.
Yeah.
You can't have any two playthroughs the same, and there's a niche.
That's sort of that rogue type game where you don't play a game from start to finish. You play it multiple times trying to get a better eventuality.
Yeah.
You're going to die potentially 45 minutes in, but you just play it again until you die an hour in, and then 4 hours in. I quite like those type of games.
Yeah.
The questions I have for No Man's Sky, and I think as it gets closer to release, we might get hopefully some of these things answered, is like so far we know that you go there, you explore things, you find stuff, but what else do you do? Is that all you're going to do?
That's what I was going to say. What is the game? Why am I doing this?
Well, they showed off in the E3 trailer that there was guns on the planes, guns on the spaceships, but can I shoot them on the planet? Like, if I can shoot all around while I'm playing around on the planet, cool. I'm interested in that. But if all I'm doing is exploring a planet, then flying off to find another planet to explore, I'm probably going to get sick of that pretty quick.
No, I was thinking about this the other day, because Todd, we talked about this the other day. I think there's going to be an underlying backstory, because if you watch the trailer, as he takes off, there's a little bit of dogfighting going on between two distinct ships.
Yes, and apparently there can be other...
I think there's just going to be a lot of background.
No, that's not in-game characters. That's other people playing.
But what I'm saying, I can't remember the trailer sort of saying that, but I think there's just going to be a lot of background story that you can choose to partake in or not. So like fact that you're going to like planets with a lot of maybe dinosaurs and stuff is what that main planet was. Maybe you've got like a hunting log to sort of take down or go after a beast or sort of thing if you want to, or you can go dogfight or you can go join a rebellion. I just think there'll be. I know it's a small indie studio, so I don't.
I think your expectations are a bit too high for this.
I think it would just be plain sandbox, run around in a cool sandbox we've made.
Yeah, it's an indie title. I think the best thing to do with this would be to lower your expectations to a single concept that it will hopefully nail well. I don't think you're going to have all of that other stuff other than maybe implied backstory, but I don't think the game... they've only got a small team of about 5 or 6 people working out of a bedroom thing, like garage. You're not... unless Sony really starts pushing this thing and throwing a lot of money behind it, I don't think you're going to see it evolve too much past its initial concept, because their initial concept is what's got them attention, so they probably won't try and muddle that
unless
too
the
much.
hype train builds up really big.
Yeah.
Choo-choo! I'm on that hype train.
Okay, Amy, what have you been interested at from E3?
Oh, there was a lot. There's a lot.
Pick one.
Pick one you would die for.
I wouldn't die for any of them. But one of my pre-orders is Sunset Overdrive, because I'm terrible at shooters, and that's a shooter, but like it looks not easy, but more
It's
fun.
kind of got that
It's
TF2 style
not
to it.
normal,
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, war. It's not. Oh, these are the bad guys. This is the good. They've drunk energy drinks and they've mutated. They're crazy as monsters, and there's bright colors and there's parkour, and they've just kind of thrown anything they can into a game, and like the characters are all over the place. It looks like it's a lot of fun. It's probably not something you play for hours on end, but it's something you just like for half an hour after work go and shoot some things.
It reminds me a lot, in essence, I guess, of Jet Set Radio Future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you remember that game? Like it's got that sort of very I'm trying to think of the right word for it, but that, like everything's all very cluttered and messy, and there's lots of, makeshift sort of things, but it's all very bright and colourful, which is quite cool. But yeah, and I think you make the character from scratch. If I understand correctly.
There's no
like
preset archetype.
Nah. You just... it's fully customizable, so you make your character from different...
They were giving away that energy drink at E3, apparently.
I would have liked to try it.
There's some on eBay for a lot of money, by the way.
I bet it's just rebranded Red Bull.
Yeah.
Probably. Or something similar to the...
It's tap water with a lozenge allowed to dissolve in it.
Yeah, it could just be like Fanta or something. Or wait, it's the States. It's probably like Dr. Pepper in an orange can. Or something like that.
You'll still buy it.
Pete, what about you? What's piqued your interest?
There's a few sort of platformers and old school stuff, but the one that's I'm actually really keen for is the Rainbow Six Siege game. The dynamic of it looked quite cool. Very sort of
It's team-based.
Yeah, sort of
Super
Counter-Strike-y, but more strategical, not run and gun, like a lot of Counter-Strike games have turned into. I liked the communication aspect of the trailer. I mean, who knows if you'll ever find 4 people that will ever talk to you like that in a game, but it looked really cool. And like the destructible environments, how they were breaking through roofs and walls to get through to different rooms, the like breach being clear strats and stuff. It was very neat.
All the AI looked pretty good too.
I'm pretty
like
sure
the hostages react.
Yeah, because the hostage was the only AI character. The rest was the 5v5.
She just screamed all the time.
That'd be brilliant if you could be maybe you're spectating the match and you're spectating it from the hostage's point of view.
So most of the game you just stare at a blank wall.
Yeah.
But no, it looked really cool. Like a mixture of cool first-person shooter, but with a bit more realistic of I can't Rambo into a room and kill everyone and walk around blazing my shotgun. You've actually got to get a bit of strategy, which I think is quite cool.
It reminded me, for better and for worse, of League of Legends. So if you like,
God.
Yeah. So for better and for worse, the better side of it is how every person on your team has a different role. So there's like your tank, you've got your scouts. There's someone who plays a sniper across the street, and so they're constantly looking in and they can see things that you guys can't.
Spotter.
Yeah,
that would be my role.
And then the downside is then, of course, it's a team-based game, so you can't just solo it. You need to work together. And, of course, if you've played League of Legends, soloing Playing
Like
League
any multiplayer game that involves a team.
Yeah.
Even playing like WoW or Star Wars, just getting that many people to cooperate.
And you can guarantee that someone's probably not got a working mic. So there's 4 of you talking and 1 person who's just listening.
Yeah.
So
but in the perfect environment where you find 9 cool people to play with, and the game runs beautifully, that is something I'm very, very keen to get my hands on.
Definitely, I think the game will live or die by how you play it. So I mean, if you're just going to jump in and play with randoms and that's all you're ever going to do, your experience is going to be vastly different than if you have a group of people that you know and happy to talk with and have headsets and stuff you can chat with. I think it looks definitely cool, but I'm a little bit cautious of the.
Just imagine if it got big enough to be in esports. Like you've got these professional teams, training. Like you can see them like somebody setting up as a publicity sort of thing. Like this esports team training with an actual SWAT team, getting their tactics. That's what they do.
Speaking of tacky tactics like that, did you see the is it Battlefield police officer version, whatever
Hardline.
It's real known. Hardline. Released, and they had all the computers set up on the roof to show off how cool it is in real life to play video games. Oh, all I could think was there's probably shit tons of glare and none of them are having a good time.
No.
Yeah.
That Hardline looks interesting.
Not to me. That should have just been like an expansion pack for the Battlefield 4.
Yeah,
but anyway,
why.
I don't care for first-person shooting games.
Battlefield and Call of Duty, they have plenty of games. Why did they keep making more?
Money, because people keep buying them.
Why?
Welcome to the world. For me, I wasn't. There was nothing at E3 this year that sort of blew me away. Like last year, there was. Because I'm a big Japanese role-playing game fan and also role-playing games in general, but I like my Final Fantasies, those sort of games. And so last year with the big reveal of Versus 13 finally being announced as 15, the next big numbered entry, and then of course the big surprise announcement of Kingdom Hearts 3, like that got me really pumped for last year's E3, but there really wasn't anything like that this year. The most I got out of it, for at least from Square Enix, was the fact that they were porting an old PSP game from 2011 into an HD version for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I was like, oh, yay.
I'm sure I saw a couple of JRPG. Well, there was a game that looked kind of a bit like Devil May Cry, and there was like the ones with the giant dragon.
You're talking about Xbox One games again, and I've already told you. I don't have an Xbox One. I don't want an Xbox One.
There were like RPGs on Xbox.
That Dragon one is not an RPG. That's an action game. That's like saying that Devil May Cry is a Final Fantasy.
Just from the trailer, to me, it looked. I didn't read up onto it because it wasn't something I was interested in playing.
Well, they didn't even show gameplay for it. It was just a CD trailer. But the game that I
was like, oh, that looks like a generic RPG. Dragons and a big sword, crazy hair and music.
So the one for me that I'm going to say is my favorite from E3, only because I like the series. I've played them extensively. For me, it would be Dragon Age Inquisition. I'm excited for that, but I'm very cautiously excited. They have had a very mixed history with their Dragon Age games. Funnily enough, most people prefer the original Dragon Age Origins and don't like the second one very much. I'm the opposite. I tried to play the first one and I didn't care for it at all, but I really like the second one. So I'm hoping that this one falls maybe somewhere in between the two of them, because if it's too close to the original one, I'm probably just going to be like, I don't like this vanilla character who's just not really talking much. Like, I like that they had personality in the character for the second one, but no, Dragon Age Inquisition, it does look cool. I still think the character designs look a little bit goofy. Like they all, if you've seen Vivian, at some point do a Google search of what she looks like. She just looks a bit silly. Not just her outfit, but just her facial details looks a bit off. But no,
they might fix it.
They might. I'm just gonna cough and die here for a second. But no, the characters look alright. The gameplay looks solid. It's an RPG. I will deal with it, and I will have something to play on my PlayStation 4 at the end of the year. But I'm cautiously excited. We'll see. Is there any other games that we saw at E3 that we liked?
So lots of games I was holding my breath for that were pretty underwhelming. Were just all CG trailers and things. Like, Battlefront was pretty like, yes, it's coming, hold your breath. A bunch of other titles. Far Cry was just, a short bit of meh.
Assassin's Creed was nice and pretty. I hope they.
It looked like just another town from another Assassin's Creed to me,
That's
though.
Exactly.
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, more and more Assassin's Creed.
I was
They
like, is
really
there going
are
to be some sort of
milking it.
sweet story plot that you've never seen before? Is it going to be different game mechanics or a different environment?
Well, they made
Nah.
4-player.
Here's another
Yeah.
medieval / whatever town. You can walk in amongst crowds. Suddenly the guards don't recognize you from 20 seconds ago. Boom, I've killed you.
Just like in real life.
Yep.
Okay, so whilst we're still on the subject of E3, the final thought I want to get into here is, of course, with each E3, over the last few years in particular, there's been talk of, who won E3, who wins it each year. Last year, of course, unanimously, it was kind of accepted that Sony won. They fully trounced Microsoft, especially with all the anti-customer stuff that they had going on. Obviously, it didn't phase Amy too much. She's still gone and bought the console. Before they took away a lot of stuff. Not saying anything, but gotta look at yourself and think why.
I have lots of fun, though. It's sometimes creepy about when it recognizes you and when it doesn't. Yeah.
Like inside the bathtub. Like, what do you mean? Where is that?
Where do you take this machine?
Why is it following you?
No, just sometimes you walk past in the lounge and you've got it on. It's like, hi. Though it does annoyingly pick up Ben every time. And I don't know
I'd be
why.
unplugging that.
Yeah.
You could have a lot of fun, Charles. I did like how they had a lot of people when they're playing like Call of Duty and stuff, and someone will get smart and they'll call their game tag or gamer tag Xbox something or Xbox off or something or Xbox, and then people are like, oh, and they'll say it because they're angry at that person, and then the Xbox does something, and so that sort of stuff's funny, but that's a real bad design flaw in my opinion.
It's only Xbox off that I think interferes with the game. Everything else doesn't generally work when you're in game.
Oh, that's
Wasn't
good,
it during their launch video? People were watching on their Xboxes, and because he said Xbox off, the stream stopped.
Oh yeah, that was on the Xbox 360 where people were watching the reveal of the Xbox on stuff.
So
You think people would test this sort of stuff before they do it, but anyway. So last year it was unique accepted that Sony won. This year I don't think there's maybe as clear-cut a winner.
Nah.
Oh, you don't think?
Well, that's what we're getting to.
So we'll start with who wants to start? Anyone want to make the opening pitch for who they think won E3 and why?
I'll come out of the gate screaming.
Go, Pete.
Yeah.
Nintendo, hands down. E3 for me is all about the games. It's not meant to be about consoles, which a few of them tried to make it about again. It's about the games, and games isn't meant to be about fun, not about anything else. And I think Nintendo made that. Everything they brought was about fun, about having people, other than that weird fitness game that they were trying to sell. Everything other than that was brilliant.
What games did they bring this year? Because you're right, it is about bringing the games, but to win E3, you need to bring
Mario Builder. That's pretty much anything I can even remember.
New Yoshi game, Yoshi Woolly World, looks pretty cool.
Is there anything new that's not a rehash of some of their older stuff?
No, so there's no new IP effectively, but what they have
there
done...
is. The paint shooting one, Splatoon.
Yes.
That's new.
All right. I mean, things that I wanted to play. So there's new Smash Bros coming.
But they announced that last year's E3, so you can't count that. That's over
Captain Toad, a new 2D/3D platformer that they're coming out with.
Which is a mini game adapted from last year's Mario game. Though that Toad thing was mini games from within Super Mario 3D World. So that's not new. So you got two games that aren't new.
Right.
Easily impressed.
Very nice.
And I know it's trailer, but trailer alone, Zelda alone had me drooling. Getting back into that franchise is going to be pretty cool.
That was not a trailer. That was not a trailer. That was like 15 seconds, and all they did was they had a static background image. Then they quickly showed, oh, actually Zelda can move. Link rode the horse around the corner, got attacked by a monster, backflipped, and no, he didn't even have a sword. He had a crossbow, and then he just, as he shot it, it then cut away, and they didn't even have a logo or anything for it. This game is so early in development.
You don't even need a logo.
So yeah, okay. Sounds like Pete's got his and Todd Wellington on the same page. So, okay, maybe Todd, you give yours.
Hey, Amy's on here with me, but we may have different opinions of Ashley, who won E3. So, Amy, who do you think won E3? If you don't think it's Nintendo, then there's only two other options.
Well, yeah, but I still think Nintendo probably did better than PlayStation. I don't actually really think any of them did anything good enough to really get people excited this year.
Ubisoft was pretty entertaining. If I wasn't going to pick Nintendo, I would have picked Ubisoft or whatever they call themselves.
Well, yeah, if you go with the gaming people themselves, then maybe. But I thought we were going console wise.
Yeah, we're going with the consoles.
Yeah. So
Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo. Those are your options for who won E3. So Pete thinks it's Nintendo.
I'd probably say Microsoft then, because they had strategic marketing move of getting everyone off 360 onto Xbox One by putting all the Master Chief games onto one disc for only about $40-50 US. So that should come out in New Zealand for only about $80, and that's 4 games plus the beta into the next one. And so that is what most people play.
Please buy what you've already got.
Yeah.
Wasn't that Nintendo's?
Yeah. But they're at least remastering HD, and then they do have, because that's the thing with the whole console-specific games. Most of them aren't these days, but then PlayStation had a couple, and Xbox had a couple, but I reckon Xbox ones that, Sunset Overdrive and that, were more interesting versus everyone's getting Final Fantasy now, everyone's getting Assassin's Creed. I think both consoles are getting the Rainbow Six, everything's going to both these days.
You're right.
Try and claw it back with we're going to have pre-beta or we're going to have 2 hours of extra gameplay, but that's not enough to go, I'm selling my Xbox, I'm going to buy a PlayStation now, they've got an extra hour of gameplay.
Yeah.
Well, because you had with Microsoft this year, because they announced Crackdown is coming back. I mean, it was just a CG. It wasn't. It was in engine, but it wasn't gameplay. So they announced that.
It wasn't due till next year or something, I think.
So we're only going to count new stuff. So what's been announced at E3 this year. So anything that was announced before this year's E3, so last year's E3 or anything like that, doesn't count. So Microsoft had Crackdown. They had Forza Horizon 2. They formally announced Halo 5 Guardians. Even though they showed off that there was Halo coming last year, they announced what it was this year. The Halo Master Chief Collection, which is your HD collection, which is a good deal, but still, I think it kind of sucks that that's a system seller for them.
Yeah, it is, unfortunately.
It is, it is a system seller
for them.
And they had
Sunset Overdrive.
Sunset Overdrive as well. Well, then I'm pretty sure they announced that last year, but they did show it off.
They didn't announce it last year. They announced. Oh, they might have. No,
they announced it last year.
Did they?
Yeah, they announced it last
year.
They
just announced it prior, but not last year.
No, they announced it last year, but they didn't really show what it was until time. We didn't really know what it was. We just knew that it was.
You just saw that well-seen trailer where he's running, jumping, about to shoot something when it ends.
And they also announced a reboot of Phantom Dust. Whereas you've got Nintendo.
Hang on. I'm just trying to look at what. Yeah, most of these are. What the hell's The Crew?
It's a driving game, but it's meant to be open world.
That's multiplayer, it doesn't count.
Yeah. Gives you the opportunity to drive coast to coast in the United States in a video game. Well, if you're going to drive coast to coast and waste hours of your life, why don't you just do it in real life? What does the game benefit you?
Petrol.
So
Fable Legends. That
was last year.
Was it?
Yeah. It was
This
October
E3 was a lot of
year.
rehashes.
They announced it just before it launched. They just said, "Oh, by the way, there's a new Fable game coming," and they showed a bit of it off. But they
had the most new stuff that wasn't announced previously. Because looking at PlayStation 4's stuff, most of that, other than Little Big Planet 3, that's the only thing that I can think of.
We'll get to
that's-
that in a minute. I'll just finish knocking off Nintendo now that I've put Microsoft in their place. So,
Yeah.
well, Nintendo, okay, so they Bayonetta 2 doesn't count. They showed that off last year. They announced it last year as well. You've got Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, which is a new game, but it's based off the mini games from the Super Mario 3D World game from last year. So I guess you can count that, but just.
I will be, but okay.
Devil's Third is a tricky one because it's exclusive to the Wii U, but the game was announced and shown off pretty extensively a few years ago as an Xbox 360 exclusive. So it's jumped ship. So they've shown it off again now. It looks like a pretty bizarre game, but there's that. You've got Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. I actually like the look of that. They've used like claymation and stuff to add to power the game, so it looks really bizarre but cool. The Legend of Zelda Wii U. It's coming. It's going to be something. It will probably look like that. Mario Maker.
Which I think will be fun. Yeah, I don't know if it'll get exactly like the community that Little Big Planet does for level making or anything, but I think it'll still be neat.
Oh, that was the other one, Project Sparks. But that was announced last year.
I've already played Project Spark. I've got it installed on my computer.
Exclusive. Yeah. You've got Mario Party 10 for the Wii U.
Yes, gonna be cool.
So Mario Party games are always fun, but some are funner than others. Mario vs. Donkey Kong. I don't really know what that one is. And then, of course, Splatoon. I don't count Star Fox because although they've said they're working on something for it, they didn't really show it off at all. And Yoshi's Woolly World is not new. They showed it off previously as Yarn Yoshi, so they just gave it a formal title. And, of course, Smash Bros. That was shown off last year as well. So not a lot of new stuff. They've got a couple of things there that's new, but it's new from their established franchises, so it doesn't really do anything for me.
But that's what Nintendo needed to do if they want to get themselves back in the game. Some
What,
short sellers.
But they're not short
named
sellers.
Titles.
Kirby and Yoshi are not short sellers.
Pretty sure that. I
No.
grew up playing some N64 games that'll make me buy those.
You go look at the sales figures for latest Kirby games and Yoshi games, and then we'll have a chat about that.
But that's not who they're targeting to. They're targeting to people our age, mid-20s, that have played the N64 games and gone, shit, I loved that as a kid. Buying that back again.
I think they're targeting anyone who will give them money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, the problem that they're doing, in my opinion, is that they're targeting the Nintendo faithful audience. These people already have a Wii U. These people are not looking for a reason to buy a Wii U. They need to be targeting people who don't have a Wii U, who wouldn't normally buy a Wii U, like they did with the Wii. They managed to make the Wii explode by getting everyone and their dog getting one. Like the Wii Sports and
It was the family console.
Yeah, and all that sort of stuff. I mean, we don't particularly care for that audience because, that sort of was part of the problem with the Wii is that it just had too much casual shovelware. But anyway, so Sony's stuff, Bloodborne, that one, it leaked, but it wasn't announced until E3, so that counts. We also didn't know what it was called until it was shown off. So there's Bloodborne, which is a big one for them. Entwined, which was the...
What the hell is that?
But you didn't see any gameplay of Bloodborne, unless you're telling me that trailer thing was gameplay.
It was a trailer that had in-game gameplay, and it was playable behind closed doors for media. And so if you look it up, you can find the people who watched it, they're excited for it. But
Right,
yeah, it hasn't been... I think they've released after E3, they showed off a gameplay trailer as well. So Entwined is kind of like in the vein of Journey and those sort of indie games, so that was shown off there. It's obviously not going to be a system seller. Grim Fandango, an HD re-release of that, which it's an old PC game from the 90s, so they're bringing that back as a PlayStation exclusive, so it'll be on PlayStation 4 and the Vita. And then there was whispers of maybe it going to PC later, which it probably should because it was a PC game to begin with. But anyway, Little Big Planet 3.
Which I don't know if I like the dividing up the game mechanics. I don't know. You know how they got these 3 new characters now?
Yeah, I
Sock
don't
and...
look at that because I liked the original Little Big Planet, and the second one was alright.
The thing that makes Little Big Planet is the community, making levels and everyone being able to play it and play it together. Well, now if there's 4 different ways to solve a puzzle, level design becomes 4 times as difficult.
Yeah.
If I'm going to make a sweet platformer and then someone can just go, whatever the bird sock was called, and he can just fly straight over my level, well, done, I've lost.
The bird sock was called Swoop, and he is amazing, and you'll deal.
It just makes that community level design aspect way harder. Unless you can restrict your levels to say, I'm going to build a level just for the sock dog, or I'm going to build one for Sackboy.
I'd say, I mean, I would hope that maybe they've thought about maybe you can switch, like you can change what character you're controlling on the fly. So like you can just push a button and...
No, I think their idea was that you had different people playing and one is each to help you get through the level.
But what if you're playing single player though? Because the Web Planet is...
Or I guess they're trying to make it like Trine, where every puzzle is solvable by every character in a different way.
I'm sure they'll figure something out. They've got a couple of months left.
And that's what I'm saying. Level design becomes so much more convoluted trying to solve in every variation.
They announced also a Ratchet and Clank reboot coming out in time with the Ratchet and Clank movie. So there's that. And of course
I hated Ratchet and Clank. Much prefer Jack and Daxter.
Oh, the Jack and Daxter is better, but there's nothing wrong with Ratchet and Clank.
I can't remember which one I played. I think it was the first one, but I just never finished it because I got so bored. And one of the characters made me angry all the time because they were annoying. Yeah.
And Uncharted 4 was formally shown off, so that counts. They didn't show it.
Wasn't that like 3 seconds of something? And
it was in game. It was in game. It's called Uncharted 4: A Thief's End, and they announced that at the end of the trailer.
Engine.
It was in engine, so that's what the game will look like when you're playing it. They confirmed it afterwards, which they should have shown. They should have seen that at the time because a lot of people thought it was just a trailer. But no, that is in-game footage. So that's pretty insane. But yeah, so okay, so we've got a vote for Nintendo.
Until they do to them like they did to Watch Dogs.
Maybe. I don't know. They've been pretty consistent with the Uncharted series, so we'll see. We've got a vote for Microsoft.
As a developer, they very seldom, they're pretty good to their word. Like if they say that that's what it is.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at The Last of Us. Like they're good with their stuff. Anyway, so we've got a vote for Microsoft, we've got a vote for Nintendo, and we've got a vote for Sony. So that then falls on to Christian, who's been awfully quiet.
He hates Xbox, so I know.
I think his mic is off.
Has he muted himself? That might...
I hadn't muted myself, sorry. I'd only been talking for like 2 seconds, and then you guys kept talking over me. I'm like, what? No, I was a little bit confused. If we're picking our winner, are we picking it on who we think's just going to win by a third party, or does it have to be on the games?
No. So we're picking from who we thought won E3 with the best press conference. So the way that we judge that is by new game announcements, and also just, things like pacing of the show and stuff. So, I mean, Nintendo's it's a bit trickier because they didn't do it live. They just did a pre-recorded video, whereas Microsoft had a live conference and so did Sony. I'd say out of 3 conferences, Microsoft probably had the best paced one. It was just, blah, 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 this is what we are. Here's a game, 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 bye. Whereas Sony sort of got stuck with their sales and
Well, there you go. You've just answered my entire spiel. Because if it's on best conference, it goes to Microsoft.
But we're talking about the games factor in as well. So new games that were shown off.
But you said I could just go on presentation as well.
No, I said
he can pick whoever he wants. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so you want to keep in mind who had the good, the best paced show, who had the best games, and just overall vibe from it. So.
Well, okay, so. Those are 3 points. For 2 of the 3 points, Microsoft hits it.
What points?
So the first point was pacing, and then presentation. Only because while Sony, I like the games of Sony, like Order, 1886.
Order is so far like the only thing that would make me consider buying a PlayStation 4.
But it's good because they're pacing with their IPs. Like they do the Order 1886, and they're pacing that one out. And they announced DLC for Infamous Second Son, which is their last IP, so they're sort of tying up the last IP, and then they're showing Order 1886, and then also, as they're bringing Order into the middle light, they've got teasing on the horizon Uncharted. And I think that's good for the games aspect, but in the middle, that the president spoke for ages, and it dragged on a bit.
I think I never saw the end of the PlayStation 4.
I don't think many people did.
No,
they
announced
the GTA 5 that was going to PlayStation 4 and stuff. So they had some good stuff in there, but yeah, the conference itself was not the greatest. They didn't have the big stuff from last year, but I don't know. I don't think anyone really knocked it out of the park this year.
No.
I think it's just weird. The fact that we can't all agree kind of explains, that it was a lot harder to decide this year because everybody was pretty av.
Yeah, so
Anyway, just go with your gut feeling. Out of your gut feeling, do you
Microsoft,
feel
they played it
Microsoft?
safe and they managed to gain some traction back into the gaming market.
Yeah, they did a lot better this year than last year. They learned from all their screw-ups from last year and try to...
Yeah.
There were still problems, but...
I was just happy not to see ugly Microsoft. Microsoft last year was ugly. They were rude, they were overly egotistic and ambitious, and they just assumed they could do whatever they wanted.
And that guy resigned.
Yeah, and it cost a lot of people a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
And the thing that's annoying me at the moment, and me and Tom were talking about the other day, is Sony knows how powerful they're being, and they're starting to be a little bit gloating.
Yeah, they're going back to their old cocky Sony.
Yeah, and I don't like that. I want to be like, good job, Sony. Now, can everyone just stop the console wars and we get back to making video games?
It's fine when they've got good content, but right now, Sony doesn't have the content coming out to be able to say, hey, screw you. They don't have it to back it up. They've got stuff, but the stuff that they've got is not like...
Yeah,
I mean,
last year they got a bit cocky because, they did really well compared to Xbox.
But it was well-deserved cockiness.
Oh, yeah.
And then this year they're still doing it, and it's like...
I think last year's success for Sony, though, is more to do with... Well, not more to do with, it's partially to do with Xbox's frat boy culture that they really needed to, get rid of.
Sony has its own past they need to fix, though. Sony's had a dodgy past with their side of it, and the fact they opened up to indies... and they didn't kowtow to the obvious pressure from third-party publishers in terms of DRM, those are some actual step-ups on their own account, and it was just the fact that Microsoft went the opposite way. But you're right, Microsoft does have an ugly culture, but Sony's never been pure. Sony's had an ugly culture in the past as well.
Well, yeah, the funny thing is that Sony's win last year was not really their own win. It was more they didn't do anything special. They just did what they were doing already. It was all to do with Microsoft just absolutely imploding over themselves. Sony's success came from Microsoft's failure. So it'll be interesting to see now that Microsoft has pretty much done a full 180 on everything that they did to make the Xbox One so anti-consumer at its launch. It'll be interesting to see if they can close that gap. I'm not sure. I don't know. I think they'll be pretty close, but I don't know. Sony is still doing pretty damn well. Like they won the latest round of NPDs again. So and that
at
was
the end of the day, somebody has to be second, but I'd like it to be a close second.
Well, right now it's Nintendo. Nintendo's second.
But that's only while their Mario Kart 8 sales are peaking.
Well, they've got stuff to follow that up with, but
Mario
I don't know.
Maker is pretty much the only thing that'll keep them going.
The one further point I had about those two is I didn't like how Sony went dark on the PS Vita, and it's sort of like that was the final nail in the coffin.
It's because everybody went dark on the PS Vita.
I know, but
like
Sony goes dark on the Vita, Microsoft goes dark on the Kinect, and it's just both parts. It was glaringly obvious that they both went dark on something that was not working well from them.
People hate Kinect though. They wanted them to go dark, whereas people don't hate the Vita. It's just no one bought it.
No, the problem wasn't with the Kinect. They've had entire press conferences about this as well. They removed the Kinect purely to drop the price so people would buy it, because people complained it was too expensive. They asked consumers, if we remove Kinect and drop the price, will you still buy it? They said yes, so that's what they're doing.
And it means that Microsoft aren't watching me in my fucking lounge.
Oh yeah, because they want to see you in your underwear and playing video games.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've pretty much done everything in their power now to make the Xbox One just another console. It's gone from being like, I mean, it wasn't a good vision.
Revolutionary.
Well, it had vision. It wasn't particularly good vision, but it did have a very specific vision when it was announced, and now they've taken all that stuff away. So it really is just me too. So it'll be interesting to see if they can turn it around.
I'd able to share my games with everyone that, like, with 10 people within my, like, I mean, I can technically, like, but it's not the same as being able to go to the UK and sign into my brother's computer and sign into my brother's Xbox and download it and play that game. because they removed all that when they removed all the other, like, you can't sell secondhand games.
Do you see what
all that kind of
Sony
crap.
came up with, though? That you can invite a PSN friend to play a game with you, and even if they don't have the game, they will
That's
be
for
able to join
one
the
game,
game.
though. That's only
Yeah.
for one
Yeah.
game. But
So
yeah.
it's still pretty cool.
Anyway, let's move on to the next topic because that is kind of what we're sort of sidetracking into here, and it's Nintendo's current situation. So currently, Nintendo, they're not doing great. They, especially comparing to how they did last gen with the Wii. So I guess what we want to talk about here is where do we think they're sitting, and how can they sort of turn that around? They want to get back to being number one. I mean, I don't think we think that they'll get to number one, but how do we think they're going to turn around their current issues with the Wii
They
U?
need new IP. Just the same stuff over and over isn't gonna work. I mean, they've got fanboys that will continue to do it. I've got a friend that would continue to do it. I've got more than one friend that will keep buying anything Nintendo. But it's just they need to get fresh people in with new ideas.
I almost feel the opposite. I thought going back to their roots is what they needed to do. Being about casual, fun games. Leave the hardcore,
It can
gaming
still be
environment to
casual,
the
fun
PC's
games
master race
and
kids.
new.
Well, I mean, just having that back to touchstone old school games, I think, is what's going to bring them back. That's part of the reason that the Wii was so fun, because it was easy, it was entry level, there was no,
And they need to come up with more casual, fun games that aren't just rehashes of rehashes, though.
I think it's all about understanding the market, and at the moment, Sony's on the ball with the market because they made a computer. They just made a computer. It's computer parts, it's easy to code for, it's fresh out the gate, it's straightforward. That's what Microsoft's backpedaling to. They had a computer and they put too much features on top of it, and that's where they're backpedaling to. And if that's where the market is, then Nintendo might have to kowtow. And we've seen it over time. Nintendo's had to kowtow to the mainstream market just to get some sales. And Pete has a good point about the old titles, but the reality might be, and I'm saying might be, that those old titles may only have a certain cash-in value, and if the cash-in value on those rehashing the old titles doesn't get them over the threshold, then they're buggered no matter what way they choose it. But at the end of the day, if they did focus on third-party and new IPs, that's the proven formula for the other side. I personally think they're screwed with the Wii U, and they need to scorched earth policy and start again. And
go back to handheld or something.
Well, handheld's doing brilliantly for them, and at the end of the day, if they maybe cut back their assets, and float themselves on the 3DS. I think there's talks that they want to do a cheaper 3DS, or I can't remember. Maybe that was just before the 2DS came out. But if they want to float themselves on their handheld for a while and go back to the drawing board with consoles, they could. It'd be cool maybe to see them halfway through the current console cycle release something that's next gen rather than last gen. But I personally think, and I'm going to be the Debbie Downer here, that they're screwed in the water here, no matter how much cash and value their old IPs are, and how much cash and value a new IP is, because a new IP takes ages and time to set up, and the interest just isn't there, and everyone just knows Wii U as just a failure. I just think too much damage is done, and I think they need to go back to the drawing board.
I don't think they need to scorch the earth. I think scorching the earth and jumping onto a new device would be terrible for them. That would hurt Nintendo more than anything else. So that I don't agree with. I think they need to look at what makes the 3DS work, because if you look at the 3DS, that device is doing exceptionally well. It's absolutely trounced the PlayStation Vita, and it has a really high pickup. So it's not super cheap, it's not overly expensive, it's not using the latest graphics. Graphically, it is inferior to the Vita. But the thing is, it's got games, and that's how you win a generation. You just got to have the games. And the problem that Wii U has is that, well, the thing that makes it sort of different from the other consoles is kind of what hurts it the most, and it's the controller. The tablet controller, it off-puts a lot of developers because they don't want to just have a blank screen on there when someone's playing the game, because obviously Nintendo doesn't want that either. They want them to use the touchscreen. But you've got third-party companies who have gone away from it, and they won't come back until the console starts selling, and the console won't start selling until the games come along. So Nintendo needs to, for now, they're going to have to float themselves on their own IP. So that does mean that you're going to get a lot more of the rehashed stuff. That's the bad side of it. What they should be doing is bringing back all those IP that haven't been seen in ages. We know we need the new Metroid, Star Fox, that sort of stuff. You need to bring that thing back, those franchises back, because those are the ones that people want. That's the stuff that will make me, like say, I mean, I don't particularly care for those games, but say I'm a Nintendo fan, I had a GameCube, I didn't really have a Wii, I went over to Xbox and PlayStation 4, oh, there's a new Metroid coming out, and that's only going to be on Nintendo because it's a Nintendo franchise. That looks really good. I want that. Oh, this old franchise is coming back. I want that too. They're going to grow. That's how you grow your market, that sort of stuff for them right now, because they're not going to have the next big Final Fantasy. They're not going to have your Grand Theft Autos, your Far Cries. Oh, they might actually have Far Cry. I'm not sure now with Ubisoft.
Yeah.
They're tiptoeing with the Wii U, I think, because they've already said that they have a completed game ready to release on the Wii U, but they're refusing to talk about it until the Wii U sales pop up, and then they'll look at releasing it. But
wow,
yeah, they've been pretty ballsy with that. But I mean, you look at the big multiplayer games, like okay, Mortal Kombat X, not a huge big multiplayer game, but one that's notable. That's coming to PC, PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, PC, PS4, Xbox One. Tom Clancy's The Division, PC, PS4, Xbox One. Dead Island 2, PC, PS4, Xbox One.
And we all know who really won everything at E3 was the PC.
No, we don't. We all
Totally does.
They didn't win.
All the games are on the PC anyway, and if you really want, you can plug in your controller.
For half control support, which I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's a horrible idea. But yeah, they need to get those IPs back in the meantime. In the shorthand to sort of boost up the rankings, to show that those third parties that there is an audience here and they want that content. Then that's when it gets tricky, because they could do that now, and while we're getting a lot of cross-gen games, like I mentioned, Mortal Kombat X is for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, as well as the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. While that's still going on, they've got a chance. But as soon as you get to the point where, like Dead Island 2, where they're only targeting the high-end systems, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, Final Fantasy 15, that's only coming to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Once that becomes the norm, then Nintendo are pretty much stuffed. And always entering a new console halfway through a generation, it's not a good idea. No one ever wins by entering halfway through a generation. I think one of the few exceptions of that was the PlayStation, the original PlayStation, because the was it the Saturn or whatever the Sega console that had been out for a while, and then all of a sudden the PlayStation came out and just trounced it, and then Nintendo came out and they couldn't beat it. You look at the PlayStation 2 generation, Sony launched first, PlayStation 2 dominated, the Xbox and GameCube suffered, and then you look at last gen, it was a little bit trickier. The Xbox 360 came out a year before the others. The Wii had that huge trend that boosted up to number one, but its sales have peaked off a long time ago. No one really buy it. I don't know if you can buy a Wii anymore, but they haven't been selling good numbers for a while now, whereas the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 are nipping at its heels now, so it may end up that those consoles eventually win. So they need to, look at the 3DS and bring back those franchises. The Wii U is not going to dominate the cycle. They're currently in second place in sales behind PlayStation 4. The PlayStation 4 is absolutely killing it this cycle so far. The Xbox One, now that they've taken all that crap away, it'll be interesting to see if they can get their stuff together. They probably will, but we'll see. Nintendo their best hope is a second place, but I'd say they're more likely going to be third, and they just need to, for the next cycle, plan something a little bit less elaborate if they want, if they really want to be the next big console again, they need to sort of meet the market a bit more and not try and pull the market as much, because the Wii was a one-off. I don't think the Wii was indicative of their ongoing success, and that's been proven with the Wii U, which is probably the worst named console I think I've ever heard of. Anyway, does anyone have any responses to that? Pete, you've been pretty pro Nintendo now that everyone's sort of chipped away at them. Is there any rebuttal comment you have?
I think time will tell. I think that the old IPs are going to bring it back to life, but hopefully I'm right.
Okay. So before we finish up today, we've got a couple of little things to do. The first thing is we need to lock in our bet. Now, the winner of the bet each cast will get to decide our outro song for the next cast. So because there is no bet formally locked in before this first episode, I've chosen a song and we're sticking with it because what are you going to do? But we need to lock in our bet. So the bet for this podcast is we're going to base it off the E3 Games Critic Awards nomination. So they've come out and they've announced all their games that they think are the best of, but they haven't announced who's won. So the nominees for Best of Show this year from E3 2014 is Alien Isolation, Batman Arkham Knight, Evolve, Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor, No Man's Sky, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. So we had a draw earlier to decide what order we're going to be picking in. So Pete will be going first, followed by Amy, then Christian, and then I'll be going last. So Pete, you have first pick. Who do you lock in for Best of Show?
I had a toss-up between Evolve and Siege, but I'm going to go with Siege. I know the comments I've said before are still true, but fingers crossed Siege.
Siege. Yep. Amy.
I had a toss-up too, because the whole, never the same game sort of basic idea for Shadow of Mordor was pretty awesome from what I have seen, but I'm going to say Batman will probably take it with the car. 'Cause who doesn't love the
It's Batman
Batmobile?
plus car. That's
Batmobile.
Yeah.
Christian.
Old Man, No Man's Sky thing.
What? Old Man Sky.
Yep.
That sounds like a one of those really bad movies that sort of came out in the mid-2000s. Oh, okay, so you've locked in No Man's Sky. I'm going to go for the Dark Horse. Going into E3, I don't think anyone was really checking for this game, but it had a really good showing at E3. It had a tournament at E3, and I've only been hearing positive things since. And the fact that it got a Best of Show nomination, and it's actually leading the nominations for the E3 Game Critics' Choice Award nominations. Is that what it's called? No, it's the E3 Game Critics Awards. I don't know where choice came from. It's got... What is it? How many has it got? 8. It's got 8. It has got more than anyone else. So I'm going to go with Evolve. I'm going to lock that in. So we have Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege is Pete's vote. Amy with the Batmobile for Batman Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
Christian with No Man, Old Man, Who's the Man, Sky. And I'll go with Dark Horse Evolve, so we'll be locking that in. But anyway, that is us for this show. We will refine and tweak as we go along, and we'll be back in a fortnight with another episode. Our outro song for today is from OC Remix. It is a remix of Uncharted Worlds from Mass Effect, and it is remixed by Psycho Crusher, and the song is where is it? It is called Full Paragon, and so that should be playing now. So it is goodbye from me, and goodbye from everybody else.
See ya.
Said with such love and affection for you all. And,
we love you all. There, is that better?
Much better. And we will see you all again. Well, we won't see you at all. We will be heard by you all again next time. Thanks for listening. Bye.